Hello, I am Chelsea Lyons Kent, and I am coming to you from Standing Rock in North Dakota. I'm actually sitting in a stairwell inside the Prairie Knights Casino because it's the only place that we have Wi-Fi, and I hope that the echo is not too bad for everybody. There's not much I can do about it right now because it's kind of this or nothing. I have been at the camp here since Tuesday. So it actually takes a long time to kind of get your bearings here because there's so much going on. And I mean, they say it's a protest camp, but really the protests are about 5 minutes in the day of this actual camp. There's so many other layers to what's happening here. There's a lot of organizing, a lot of activity, a lot of community. There's also inner squabbles and family drama, just as you would expect with any other situation with this many people. And there's also a lot of rumors, which can be kind of hard to deal with because none of us have phones, none of us have Google or search engines, so it's almost impossible to kind of research the information that we're being given. It's just word of mouth. It's honestly, it's even impossible to make times that you're going to do something because nobody has clocks or service, and it's kind of just, I'll meet you at a tree when the sun goes down, So it's a whole different way of life out here. Ricky Cherry's asking, how are we doing? What are you and others doing besides just showing up there? Well, I have been doing interviews all week with a lot of the elders as well as some of the young people. And a lot of that is going to go out to the Laura Flanders show. It actually is being taken back to New York City right now. So just kind of painting a different narrative. We asked a lot about what's happening in the community. We asked a lot about the differences between the elders and the youth in the community and the division over whether or not there should be direct action, because there are obviously some groups that think that there should be no direct action whatsoever. And then there are some groups who are clearly continuing this. So there is a lot to be talked about. And we've also talked a lot about where is this movement going to go, and now that we are united, what do we do next? So we have gotten some amazing footage and some amazing, incredibly raw interviews, and Jonathan Klett from the Laura Flanders show is taking that back now, and I can't wait to see how that's going to turn out. Some of the interviews we did yesterday were my favorite by far. One of them was Cody Hill, who is one of the leaders of the Red Warrior Camp, Red Warrior Camp is one of the camps that is more instrumental in doing the direct action. They have had a lot of their members lock on to the machines and kind of plan these protests, so getting to talk to him was huge. And so his story was really interesting because he was actually arrested in earlier this week. He spent 4 days in jail for criminal trespassing, and he was not arrested at the actual site of a crime. He was arrested while driving down the road, and the Bureau of Indian Affairs saw him and then alerted the police who were a couple blocks down, and they pulled him over immediately and they arrested him, and he actually spent 4 days for a misdemeanor ticket just because of who he was. And while he was in the car, the cops were asking each other, who do we have here? And they said, oh, we got Cody Hill. And the cops started cheering, oh yes, we got Cody Hill. He said when he arrived at the jail, he was met by 8 other cops. I mean, this is one unarmed man who is going to jail for trespassing, who is met with 8 armed guards at the actual jail and then held for 4 days on a misdemeanor ticket. And this is all just because they know that he is one of the people who is actively planning these protests. So that's the kind of thing that we're seeing here. And a lot of this, there was talk, I went to a direct action training course here a couple of days ago, which is something you actually have to do if you want to participate in the direct actions that are being planned at the camp. You have to go to this training thing first. And one of the things that came up was the fact that some of the protesters are wearing the bandanas around their face. And a lot of the elders would like them to stop doing that. They would prefer that they never wear masks And that leads me to another point about Anonymous, which somebody remind me to bring that up later. But this point is they're wearing the bandanas, and the elders are telling them, do not wear these anymore. So the reason that they are actually wearing these is because when they are going to these protests without the bandanas, when they are getting back, they're getting arrested in other places. They're getting arrested on facial recognition for taking part in these protests when they're doing it without a mask. So the reason that they're wearing these bandanas is so that they don't get arrested at a later date, so they can conceal their identity for the time being. So, and so the masks, which led me to Anonymous. Anonymous was actually here a couple of days ago, and they were wearing their masks, and they went to the elders, and they offered to help, and from what I'm told, the elders said no. I don't really know what that had to do with, their inability to show their faces or what, but I know that the elders said no. So hopefully they will be helping anyways, but they did say no. Let me see your comments. It says the Bureau of Indian Affairs pointed out. Yes, the Bureau of Indian Affairs pointed him out. And it was actually very cool because in this interview he started talking about how he was of descent of Crazy Horse, who was also targeted by the Bureau of Indian Affairs. And he was kind of tying that in of how history is just repeating itself over and over again in the Native American community, and they're still dealing with the same issues. So that was a really touching and poignant story. And about Cody Hill, I must say this is the most non-violent man I have ever met. Listening to him talk, he's talking about his mother, he's talking about his spirituality, he's talking about helping children, he's talking about what he does to interact with the youth in the community, and how he likes to take homeless people to lunch, and he's just the nicest guy. So that the fact that they're treating him like this and meeting him with 8 armed guards just because he's part of a peaceful protest shows you how much is wrong with this system at this point. And the police security at the camp is increasing, oh my God, tenfold. Even just today, there are so many more police than there were before. Yesterday, there was police driving up and down the roads, just kind of passing over and over again. If you go maybe a half of a mile past the camp, you'll see at least 3 or 4 of them just parked waiting for you. 2 nights ago, myself and Jonathan Klett from the other show, we were pulled over the moment we pulled out of the driveway, and we were pulled over for nothing. They said that we did not stop at a stop sign. We very much stopped at the stop sign. Luckily, they did not arrest us. They didn't really hassle us a whole lot. They gave us a ticket, and they also told us when they gave us the ticket was $20, and they said, had you been part of the tribe, we would have written you a $250 ticket. Because if you are part of the tribe, you have to pay more, which is disgusting. But they did say that it is the tribal council who actually sets those higher fees. I don't know how that works, but the fact that I would get a $20 ticket and then the Indigenous people would get a $250 ticket is fucking disgusting. So that's that about the arrest. And today, this morning, one of the elder women, Phyllis, she announced that so far over $100 million has been divested out of Wells Fargo since their call a few days ago for everyone to remove their money from Wells Fargo. $100 million has been divested, which is amazing. So we are winning here. This is a fight that we are winning. We're winning it slowly, but we are winning it, and God knows we need a win, guys. So if you have your money in Wells Fargo, get that shit out. If you know anybody who uses Wells Fargo, tell them to close their bank account. It is banks like that who are making things like this possible. And the best way that we can do, or what we can help, is to get our money out of these banks and out of these corporations that are only using it to grow these negative causes. So next we have a basketball player came yesterday from the Wisconsin University. It was Bronson something, but he came with a whole truckload of supplies, and he also offered to take all of the kids into a basketball camp this afternoon. So They went to this Standing Rock middle school, I think, and they did a camp for all of the kids there, which was amazing. And one of the coolest parts was not a lot of people really knew who this guy was. I didn't know he was. I still don't even really know his last name. But it didn't matter. They were just so happy that he was there. They were just so happy to have one more voice added into this. Everybody crowded around him. The elders announced him. There was like tears, even though they did not know who this person was. They were just so happy to have the support. So for all of you who are on the fence about coming here, I would think about that, because every single person who is coming here is so honored and so valuable and so needed. So you're needed. We are all needed here. Oh, Heather said, Bronson Koenig. That's right. It was Bronson Koenig. He was incredibly nice. He's still there now, and he's still hanging out with kids and just kind of offering, what he can do. And if you have a skill, come share that skill with the kids who are camped here. If you know how to do a sport, come teach the kids. If you have supplies, come give them to the kids. I know some other people came with school supplies. The kids were homeschooled here. So there are families here, there are babies here, there are children here. There are also talks about sending, I don't think it's CPS, the Child Protective Services. I think it's a different name in the States, like DHFS or something. But they are talking about sending out that agency to make sure that the children are being cared for, and possibly even using the presence of children as a way to disband this camp, as a way to lock this camp down, file charges against this camp by kind of using the children in a way which, the kids here are perfectly safe. As if taking your kids camping is somehow dangerous. There's plenty of food. There's plenty of medical supplies. There's medics on site. There's basketball court. There's puppies. There's, the kids are just playing, and they're playing with their families, and they're just being a part of this. And this is the most peaceful camp that it couldn't get more peaceful. It couldn't get more community-like. And for them to use the children as an excuse to shut this down, or to penalize parents for bringing their children to a peaceful camp where they are trying to protect the water that gives us all life, is disgusting. They're just using every tactic possible to shut this down. They don't care how they have to do it. They don't care who they hurt in the process. And they don't care if it's right or wrong. They're just doing everything they can to shut it down, every tactic possible. So, like I said, the police are escalating. Yesterday they were going back and forth. Today, there's at least 8 of them just fucking parked, checking people out about 3/4 of a mile past the camp. Not just parked like they were yesterday, where they were just sitting there in groups. We saw that now they're out of their cars. They have blockades on both sides. You have to tell them where you're going, how long you've been there, why. And these are federal police. There's at least 8 cars out there right now, and that's just in one direction. That's just what I saw. So there's more. They're everywhere. They're surrounding this place. There used to be just a checkpoint on the one main road. Now there's checkpoints on both roads. It is escalating entirely, but we are not escalating. The camp is not escalating. It is the police who are escalating. They have no reason to escalate. There's been zero violence coming out of this camp, zero volatility of any sort. Chaining yourself to a piece of equipment is not violence. There is no violence. There is no threat. And yet they are escalating every single day. And I think I told you guys the other day that they have actually borrowed $6 million from the Bank of North Dakota to offset costs of derailing these protests. So they're not trying to calm down. They're not trying to make this peaceful. They're trying to make this worse. Oh, but that leads me to something awesome. So yesterday I met some people from the legal team, and they have come up with a brilliant strategy. They have decided there's 67 or 69 people who have been arrested and either bailed out or are still in there. Every single one of them is going to take it to a jury trial, because then they have to actually have 6 people from the community to unanimously convict you. That it will never ever happen. You are never going to get 6 people from this actual community to unanimously convict these peaceful protesters. So that is what they're doing now, which will also cost the state of North Dakota a shitload of money trying to prosecute these people. So this is a great idea that we can actually use in further movements. And I don't know why we didn't think about jail solidarity before in these movements, because jail solidarity is something we should be talking about if we're going to continue to do these activist movements. So having 69 people in one community from one protest who are all going to fight it in the exact same way makes it nearly impossible for the courts to combat. They can't come back at that. They will waste their own resources doing so, and they know that they will lose, and they know that all of these people will end up getting off. So it's fucking brilliant, and it's so simple, and I don't know why I didn't think of it before. And I think this is something we should write down in all of our local communities for every activist event we have from now on, is jail solidarity, and working out a plan of, if you're going to go to jail, how are we going to not make it easy for them to put this on my record, for them to convict me, for them to make me pay fines? How are we going to make this hard on them? How are we going to make them work for this? And that is exactly what they're doing here. They've got a brilliant team who's been working on this nonstop. They're volunteering their own time, and I think these people are going to beat this. And we should all use this as a reference in the future. So another thing, which is they are changing leadership within the camp. Right now they have elder leadership. One of the elders is Phyllis, but she is actually leaving, I believe, today to go to Iowa. So they are transferring the leadership to AIM, the American Indian Movement. So there will be a new leader who is making it kind of sound like he's going to crack down on civil disobedience and behaviors outside of what the elders would like, which they can absolutely do that. I'm not saying that that is bad. I'm just sharing the information that they have shared with us. So the guy who came up, who is going to be part of the new leadership, did say that anyone who from now on violates these rules will be asked to leave the camp. And I also heard that there was a meeting between some of these leaders where they were thinking about even removing people who had already participated in these civil disobedience actions, and that was decided against. They decided not to do that. They're going to let everybody stay for the time being. I guess they're just going to monitor behavior. And since that conversation, I heard from other people that, you know, they weren't really on board with that, that there was kind of some backlash from that, and they are now reconsidering how they can compromise on this issue, because right now they're kind of in a huge standstill because the elders are just no civil disobedience, no, no, no. And the younger groups are just, we're going to do it. You're not going to tell us no. So I think they're at this point trying to find some sort of compromise that they can both feel good about, and to give the young people the freedom to express this and to act in the way that they feel is proper, I guess, and then also not to disrespect the elders. So how can we make these protests more appealing to the elders? So that is kind of what is happening now, and I will stay up on that as much as possible and try to get more information on names and how that is actually occurring. And I see that Jonathan Klett is in here, so if you want to share stuff while you're at the airport, he's flying back from Standing Rock now, he can help fill in some of this information. And Jody said, how do you stop the work without civil disobedience? I personally agree. I think that civil disobedience is totally necessary. I also believe that it is one of the biggest pros we've had in order of getting attention, because while it would be a perfect world scenario for the media to come out here and pay attention to how wonderful this community is, or the fact that there are children playing, or the fact that we are sharing food and resources and clothing, and that we are, as humans, relying on each other in this fantastic, loving way and kind of getting in touch with our humanity. It would be great if that's what the media was actually covering, but they're not covering that. Even our own personal Facebook pages aren't really covering that. Even the stuff that I saw on Facebook from progressive news outlets we're not covering that. So if it were not for these civil disobedience actions, there's a possibility that maybe even I wouldn't have heard about this. So I think that it is necessary to raise awareness. I, of course, think that it's necessary for these actions to always be peace. Okay, sorry, it got stuck. Okay, I think I'm incredibly pixelated, so I don't know if you guys can actually see me or not. But basically what I was saying is I agree that we should make these protests as reflective of the beautiful community that is happening here, but I also think that they have to continue. I think that also another reason that they have to continue is that this pipeline is on a deadline. This pipeline has a deadline of January 3rd. So every time there is a moment of civil disobedience and these people are chaining themselves to this equipment, that is a delay in this work. And every minute that you are delaying this work, you are making it, A, you're costing them a shitload of money. B, you're making it more impossible for them to actually finish this. So if our goal is to make sure that this pipeline doesn't go through, and chaining yourself to equipment for a few hours is shutting down work for an entire day and costing this company millions of dollars, then I think civil disobedience needs to continue. Because at the end of the day, these people are not, they're not responding to pleas. They're not responding to the fact that we are just all gathered together. They do respond to a loss in profit. And that is what's happening through these civil disobedience actions, is a loss in profit. That is where their heart is. They don't give a shit what we think or how many people that they hurt. They care about money. And that is the best way for us to connect with them, is to connect with their power source, which is this money. So I think the civil disobedience should continue. And I think that I'm not alone in that. But it does appear that it really is only the opinion of the young people here. And the elders do not necessarily see our point. Let me see. Yeah. Oh, another cool thing that, again, this part's word of mouth, but it's so awesome. The women's group here is going to be basically filing some sort of motion about not only the genocide from before, but there was some sort of interaction in the 30s that would make them have no jurisdiction at all over this treaty. So there are a lot of things being filed in the court right now. They're not necessarily related to this pipeline, but they're branching out more broadly. They're branching out into the full spectrum of Indigenous issues, and they are filing these motions all over the place in a wide range of contexts, not just about the pipeline. So this is growing. This is going outside of the pipeline, because at the end of the day, this is not just about one pipeline. This is about systemic oppression that has been going on for hundreds, if not thousands of years, and it is time for it to end before we ruin our planet and the people within it. So these people are thinking outside of the box. This is not like a narrow-minded movement. This is not a narrow-minded thing that is happening right now. They are thinking entirely broadly of how can we take this to the next level? How can we make this a real revolution? How can we branch out and reach out to all human rights issues? Because at the end of the day, this is a human rights issue, and this is just the one that is at the forefront right now. But they are not going away, and we are not going away. So everybody is doing everything that they can to make sure that not only does this pipeline stop, but these kind of actions cannot continue anymore, and that the power of the people comes through, and they know that we are ready to stand together. We are ready to stand together for this pipeline. We are ready to stand together for the next pipeline, and we're ready to stand together for the next injustice. And here we are, there's thousands of us, and it is freezing. It is freezing. It is raining. It's been raining for 3 days. All of the cars are stuck. People are taping trash bags around themselves to make ponchos, because nobody has any ponchos. There's no ponchos. There's no umbrellas. It's just cold and raining. And yet we are not going home. We are not going home because we don't care if it's cold. We don't care if it's raining. We don't care if this is uncomfortable. We didn't come here to be comfortable. We came here because we want to take back the power for the people, and we are willing to sit it out in the snow if that is what we have to do. People are prepping for winter, and there's just nothing these corporations can do at this point to put us down. We are prepared to fight them every step of the way and make sure that this pipeline dies, as well as every other pipeline after it. Yes. See, another thing yesterday is I actually had the opportunity to interview Chase Iron Eyes, who is running for the only congressional district in North Dakota, the only representative slot. And I met him in Philly at the climate rally, I think that was on Sunday, right before the DNC, with Shailene Woodley and Naco Berry Medicine for the People and Susan Sarandon. There was a ton of people, and Josh Fox's movie played. So he was there, and I remember talking to him, and I remember thinking that he was really wonderful, but at the time I was just, caught up with everything else, and I kind of left that. And now I met him again yesterday, and let me tell you, he's just the most raw, not political person running for office. He even said, I'm not a politician. I am a leader, and politicians are not leaders, so I will never be a politician. And he really got down to the points within this interview. He didn't, you know how most politicians, when you're talking to them, it's all rehearsed. It's all the words that they have written in front of them, and they're always constantly thinking about what it's appropriate for them to say. Like, how do I answer this in a way that is totally PC and also keeps my donors kind of happy, but also makes these people kind of happy? You could tell that thought process was not going on. He was just speaking out. So I know we all kind of rallied behind Tim Canova as being the most progressive candidate. Well, we lost that, and now I think that it would be really great to see people rally behind Chase Iron Eyes for his congressional district, because he's already through the primary. He's running against a Republican. He would be the first Native American to hold the seat in the state of North Dakota. So that would be a huge win for Indigenous people, but also a huge win for the progressive community, because the guy's pretty on point. And as soon as you see this interview, when it comes out, you'll see that. I'm incredibly happy about the interviews that we had over the last several days and that will be coming out. We kind of had a different focus, and I think it's gonna be really beautiful. Let's see. Oh, I think I have pretty much covered everything unless you guys have questions. One thing that I will mention is something that I mentioned in the last video that I'm still not 100% sure about, is there is a lot of talk about this camp moving and making Standing Rock like a base camp where the elders will stay, and some of the people who've been here from the beginning will kind of hold it down, hold down the fort, but having a lot of people, the majority of this movement, moved to the next location of where this pipeline is going to be built, and possibly even following it through from one state to another. So there are some people who are going to Iowa now, and we are talking about, picking up and traveling to these places and having a traveling movement. So that is kind of what is happening at the camp here. I am in touch with a lot of other citizen journalists at this point. We're kind of working together to share our resources, share our supplies, and share our connections, because, we don't have the mainstream backing. We're just out here by ourselves. So, we're kind of trying to help each other and kind of let that community blend in here. So right now I'm with Ed Higgins. I've been on his show a couple of times this week, and Evan Duke from Occupy Wall Street, who is introducing Occupy Inauguration to the elders and asking them to sign on and endorse this. And Occupy Inauguration will be for Inauguration Day in DC, where we will present a list of demands to whoever is being inaugurated, and basically say that if you are not willing to respect the will of the people, maybe we're not willing to respect your role as the government. Not saying anarchy, but saying, there has to be some sort of give and take. I don't really know how this document's going to be drafted. It's not going to be my document, but it's a really cool concept, and a couple of the elders have already signed on to go to DC, and speak about this at the time. So if you're free on Inauguration Day, everybody will be in Washington, D.C., rebelling against the establishment, and God, I hope I'm there. So somebody said, where's Standing Rock? Standing Rock is right outside of Cannonball, North Dakota. And I don't know how many people we have here right now, but even today, there's hundreds more than there was yesterday. Like when I woke up this morning, there was hundreds more than there was yesterday. Maybe it's just because it's the weekend, but maybe it's because this thing is growing. And I'm getting messages every day of I'm coming, I'm coming, I'm coming. So this is getting so big. This is the, the front line of the battle right now, and we're in it to win it. So please leave all of your questions. I know that there's probably a lot more that I didn't cover, and I'm just not thinking about it at the moment. So I would really love to see what you guys would like to know more about, what you guys would like me to ask people, or what you would like to see. I'm trying to get pictures, but I know a lot of you can't be here and you want to be here. So I would love to be able to try to, get you the information that you're looking for and kind of give you the inside perspective, because it can be hard to find. So please let me know if you have any specific questions. And until then, I am about to go back to the camp, leave the comfort of the casino. And I must say, the casino is a godsend, because the casino is owned by the tribe, and they're letting everybody use free Wi-Fi, and there's food here, there's just connectivity. We're all allowed to charge our phones here and get on the internet, and they're just being so gracious and offering so much hospitality, and we really wouldn't have this opportunity anywhere else. But the fact that they have this and they are offering it to people is just fantastic. They're also opened up the marina for people to shower and just have access to running water. So it's really fantastic. It's really, really amazing to see what can happen when people come together and to not feel so separated and alone. Because when I first came here, I thought, like, damn, I don't have enough sweaters. And then I get here and they just have sweaters everywhere. And I heard from one of the native females. She said, yeah, that's how we always do it. We always have these kind of communal offerings where anybody can come and pick things up in our reservations. Now that we've never had anything like that, like how amazing would it be if our neighborhoods had places where we could go and pick up things and drop off things that we don't need anymore? And I think a lot of the things that we can take out of this situation is how do we learn to live outside of the monetary separation that we are all feeling. Connection entirely. And I think I've gone over, are protectors still being held? I don't know how many are being held right now. I do know that the Cannonball, North Dakota jail is entirely full, over capacity full. They have people sleeping on the ground in the recreation area on cement floors because they don't have any beds left. They don't have any cells left. So, these are animal conditions they're putting people in because they've arrested too many people. So for me, I think that, the best thing they could do now is maybe stop arresting people for peaceful actions and just write them tickets, which is usually what you're supposed to do with a trespass, is write a ticket. So, and the best way you can help from home is to, share this information with people, get the word out, talk to people who wouldn't otherwise know about this. Obviously sharing on your Facebook is fantastic, but a lot of time when we're sharing on our Facebook, it's going out to our friends who already know what's going on. So maybe think of new ways that you can reach people who don't know what's going on, by maybe sending in an email to your mother who doesn't watch your Facebook because she's sick of you talking about progressive politics. We all know those people, but take a chance and send it to somebody who might not want to hear about it so that we can raise awareness on this issue. Another thing you can do is send supplies. Right now, I've already told everybody send warm weather gear, firewood. I was telling somebody earlier, I think that the most important things you can send, and also that are very small and easy to send, are socks and gloves. Because while we do have socks and gloves here in the community area, you can never find matching ones. There's no matching ones. So even for the kids, there's no matching ones. So gloves for men, women, and kids, and socks. And yes, Andrew, ponchos. That was my next thing I was going to say, is please send ponchos, send umbrellas, rain gear, because when the rain hit a couple of days ago, a lot of us were unprepared, and there was just a lot of soaking wet people freezing freezing, because the moment you get wet, it's incredibly ice cold and you can't really get out of it after that. So socks, gloves, ponchos, or even tarps that we can use to cover areas, to kind of just so we can build more dry areas. We do have some like kind of tarp structures that we have built to like let people sit under, but anything that could be sent to help combat the cold and the rain, you know, we're definitely not asking for luxury, just, you know, something to keep people warm so people don't get sick. So even maybe those little hand warmers, those are really small and really easy to send. So, and tobacco is used in the prayer services. So tobacco is used nearly every single day. Yeah, I think that's about it. So if you guys have more questions, please throw them on the comments and I'll be happy to answer them next time. And she said, where do you send? What's the address? I don't have the address on me. Hold on. Actually, wait. I might have the address on me. You're just going to take me a second to find it. Maybe. Okay. Yeah. No. Sorry. Okay. It is, you can send it to Sacred Stone Camp, attention, LaDonna, it's LADONNA, Allard, ALLARD. She is the person who owns the property at the Sacred Stone Camp, and it's P.O. Box 1011, Fort Yates, North Dakota. Zip code is 58538. So Sacred Stone Camp, attention, LaDonna Allard, P.O. Box 1011 in Fort Yates, North Dakota, 58538. Okay, so if you want to send anything, just send it there. You can also send it to the address that Terrence just put up. That is the Sioux tribe, who delivers they deliver supplies to the other camps. So either way is awesome. So thank you guys for watching. Please send me your questions and feedback, and I will get back on here as soon as I can. So aloha, I will see you guys later.